what? I wanted to start this with, see, when most people are young, they don't know exactly what they want to do in life. But at 10 years old, you knew you wanted to be an actor. When did you realize that you wanted to be an actor?
I was kind of one of those always like annoying kids where I was just always doing something that had to do with performing. And I didn't realize it could be a job until like I started watching the Disney Channel and like Raven Simone. I'm like, if this is actually what you could do, then I definitely wanted. Like it was kind of like I saw it and then a label to a name. Then I was like, that's what I want. That's what I've been doing. So I kind of like always annoyingly, instinctually knew what I wanted to do.
Well, you know, that's really incredible. And speaking of acting, congratulations on Snatchers.
Thank you.
Like that's dope.
Thank you so much.
That's awesome.
Thank
and so
you.
in the show though, you play a nerd. Like how similar is that character to you in real life?
She's a little bit more artistically nerdy, like drawing wise. She's way more into comic books than I am, but I don't know, Haley and I kind of reflect each other very well. Like she's more into the books, I'm more into the Marvel movies.
Right.
She's more drawing oriented, I'm more physically oriented, but she's very, I don't know, she's very like her own type of nerd. I wouldn't want to put her in like a normal nerd box. Like I think she's very eclectic in her nerdiness.
Right.
So yeah, I don't think she's like one tone nerd. I think she's very good at a lot of stuff, but she definitely has that like kid pop culture part of her.
And because I know you said you like comic books.
Yeah.
What's your favorite comic books?
My favorite comic book right now is Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. It's a Marvel thing.
Okay.
It's great. It's awesome. It's like this like 12-year-old scientist who has like a pet dinosaur and she like goes and saves New York and stuff with her like gadgets and stuff.
What?
So
okay.
Yeah.
well, I was just thinking of that. I mean, you like things that are different. Nothing wrong with that because growing up, I was a skateboarder in Alaska. And and at times I felt like an outcast. Was there ever a time in your life growing up that you felt like an outcast?
I still do now.
No.
Like I do, seriously.
Okay.
Like I have a podcast and it's called In the Mix, and for people who don't know, like I'm a multicultural woman of color.
Yeah.
I'm Japanese, Filipino, Black, and Scottish. And I grew up in suburban Texas, which is very Republican, and my dad would always say that we're like the raisin in the oatmeal type of thing, and I grew up 16 years of my life that way. So growing up in a multicultural household, it was really hard to be like, I'm this one thing, because I'm not just this one thing.
That's true, you're not.
And like when you're growing up and like you're in middle school, like you try different like friend groups on, you're like, okay, this feels good, maybe this feels good, but I was always wondering. I didn't belong to one group. I don't belong to one group now. But my identity and something I like really hold on to, like your identity is something I'm still exploring. I don't know what that means to me yet, but no, I totally get it, because it's like, you know,
you don't feel like where do you belong, kind of.
Right. Yeah.
And so so people made fun of you when you were younger, or was
constantly. I was constantly made fun of younger. It was like, because, you know, I'm perceived as a Black woman in Texas, but I'm just like, you know, I am that, but I'm not just that as well. Right. And then like other parts of my culture were like, yeah, we see you as this thing, but it's like you're not completely this thing, so we don't really know what to do with you.
Right.
The blessing about that though was like I got to maneuver, I got to learn a lot, and honestly, like I pride myself in being a person that has collected a lot from a lot of different perspectives. It helps me in my career a lot, where I can see things that maybe normally people don't see, and like learning from all those cultures and learning from all those different perspectives. So I'm learning to be okay with being out of the box right now.
And that's beautiful that you can, you know, just be in your own, in your own shoes, or just feel comfortable being yourself, because I think a lot of people struggle with that. Like I said, I struggle with that.
Right.
And I can tell you're very, very passionate about that. But another thing you're passionate about that I read is self-discovery and self-love.
Yes.
So when did you find yourself on that path? Like, tell me about that.
You know, I feel like I found that at a really young age, and I went to an acting studio that was very much all-encompassing, and it's called Zach Barnett Studios, and he's always about spirituality and activism and things like that, and I've always been very passionate about certain things from a very young age. Like, you know, I was very passionate about Martin Luther King and the Civil Rights Movement and all of that, so that was kind of my way in. And then with the spirituality stuff, like just really kind of embracing what that meant, exploring it, what that meant to me. I don't know, that's just something that was really resonant with me, and I think it's because Zach presents it in such a way that it feeds your artistry. So I was like, well, if this feeds my creativity, then I'll explore it, and it just kind of stuck. So.
Wow. I wanted to know what books, if there's any, that helped you out at all in your journey.
Yeah.
As well, was there any kind of...
Oh gosh, there's so many.
Or just one or two or three?
One or two. One that like got me started that really made clear-cut sense to me was The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz.
I love that book.
I love that book
too.
It's
so
good.
No, that helped me so much with like forgiveness and not caring about what people think.
Right, and like being impeccable with your word and like your integrity and stuff like that. Like I think I read that when I was like 17. I was like, this makes so much sense.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. I've always kind of been an old soul type of thing. Like I feel like I'm 23.
So you would say
37.
you're a student of life.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, speaking of being a student of life, you're not just a student of life. You're actually in school now.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Yeah. So tell me what you are studying and how you plan to change the world with your degree.
Well, I'm in community college. I'm trying to get my GEs out of the way. And I do like 1 or 2 classes a year, so it is flexible with acting and things like that. And my dad is a medical doctor, so there was like no way in hell I was not going to college. But at the same time, like I really liked college because it was like acting and the entertainment business is so unconventional. It's not like you do the hard work and it's a straight line to the reward. Definitely. In academics, it is. So it was kind of like a grounding thing for me. And plus, I was homeschooled all of my high school career. So like being in a room full of students, I was like, this is
So you were
amazing.
shy at first? Or
Yeah, I was. I was like, at first I was like, well, I am a little older than everybody that's in school right now, so this is kind of weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was just, I really miss that classroom environment, just like being around other students and like hearing other people's like opinions and things like that and being taught by somebody and connecting with your professor. But yeah, it's just like the school and doing college is very much grounding for me because acting is like so just unpredictable. Yeah. People don't understand that it's like, it's not a straight line to success.
No.
So, and that was hard for me because I started doing this when I was like 15. Yeah.
From
15.
Nickelodeon and all the things you've done.
Yeah. So, and that was tough to be like, you know, I worked hard for this thing, but again, like you don't know where it's gonna go. Like, you know, you could be you could act so well, and then your height could knock you out of the running, or like, you know, your hair is not the right color of like what the producers imagined or something like that. So. And with that will drive you crazy because you don't know that. You don't get that feedback at all. Nobody tells you why you didn't get the role. Right. So you're just like, you're scrambling. Yeah. But school is always very much like that grounding, consistent thing for me. And also, I really do like learning as well.
Good.
I did want to go in for film and TV, but I was like, I'm in the film and TV business. I don't really want to.
Why do I need to do
Why do I need that?
Yeah,
like, I can learn from mentors and people that I'm around way more in depth than, you know, getting a 4-year degree in it. So, but I still want to because it's like a guaranteed back pocket type of thing. But I also want to get a degree or a minor in business because I really love party planning.
Great.
Like, I've always been a great party planner since I was little. So if acting goes to crap, like I will be a party planner. So.
Well, you seem like you're very focused. You know what you want. You're doing it. You're making it happen. How do you balance that work and school life? Like, how does that work?
It's a very delicate dance, and it's hard.
Because you're passionate about both.
Both things, yeah. But acting always comes first for me. I will admit that. Like, I've dropped a couple of classes because I've had to like book a job, or like when I booked a job and things like that. But honestly, it's my support system that kind of like keeps me going and like keeps me grounded. Like, my mom's very much still a part of my life. My dad's still very much a part of my life. Like, I'm 23, but I still live with my parents, and I'm not ashamed of that at all.
Don't be ashamed.
I'm not ashamed of that at all. They are.
Yeah.
They are.
You can save and do what you need to do.
But also it's just like, I feel like, because I always grew up like with a very big family unit, very strong family unit, and I feel like a lot of people don't have that or get that luxury very much. But they've always like supported me. They've always like been encouraging, and like my mom still gets on me like, you on time for school? Like, where you at right now? And I'm like, I'm here. Like, it's fine.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Because some people don't have that. You know, their parents are not supportive, or they don't believe in their dream, or they don't see what could be.
Right.
But your parents did. They supported you.
It was not without struggle though, because my dad's half black, half Asian. Grew up out of the hood. Like, you know, got himself out of there through the Air Force Academy, and you know, my dad's way out of that was education, and he was very much like, you have to go to school, you know, your grades are everything. And then when I'm like, hey, like, I want to be this creative person, he was like, I don't know what to do with that. But my mom was very much like, you know, this is what she wants to do. She was pretty like suspicious about it too, because you know, they had a business, like a CEO of a business, and they were just like, we don't know what to do with this creative child, even though that's what she wants to do. But my mom and my dad were very much like, we'll explore this, we're on board. But the ticket to that was I had to go to school.
You had to go, you're like, okay.
Yeah, which is fine, which is great, because I wanted to go to school anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. You talked earlier about your podcast. I just wanted to talk about that for a minute, because that's something that you're passionate about. Like, walk me through when did you get that idea, and what do you plan for the viewers or the listeners to walk away with?
Well, oh God, this podcast was a surprise to me. I wasn't I didn't wake up one day and was like, I'm gonna start a podcast. Right. I wanted to write a show about my perspective and about my way of like how I've kind of navigated through my life, but I was at a point in my life where I was like, there's so many things that are happening, or like so many things that I'm made up of, I don't know what voice to talk from.
Right.
And it was really hard for me to get that concrete narrative storytelling voice. And I was like, you know what, I've never really explored what it meant to be multicultural. I've always, even though I didn't identify, I always tried to hang on to one of my cultures. Right. But at the same time, doing that, I was ignoring everything else. So I really didn't feel like all-encompassed or whole. And I was like, I don't know if I can write like that, or write the story that I want to tell like that. So I went to my managers who were helping me with this, and I was like, I had this idea of doing a blank casting call and calling in other multicultural people like me and just asking them about their life. And then my manager was like, why don't you do a podcast about it? And at first I was like, I don't know. Like, that seems really weird to me. Because at the same time, even though it was a great idea, I was terrified. I sat on that idea for like a good 3 months.
Why were you terrified?
Because it's so vulnerable, and it's something that I'm still figuring out. And for people, strangers, to tune in and like to listen to that, and when you put something out so vulnerable, you're so like vulnerable as well. They like criticism and things like that. And I was like, I don't know if I can handle that. And at the same time, I was just like, this is something so close to me that I'm still battling. Well, I don't want to say battling, but still figuring out and still trying to discover. And I don't know, like being in the middle of that process and then recording something and then putting that out seemed very, very scary to me. But at the same time, I was like, because my friend Sharonis Jackson, who's Panamanian, German, and Black, and Native American, I was like, that was the first person that I ever met who was successful in the industry that was like me. I had never met somebody who was multicultural except for him, and I was like, this is my unicorn in the sea full of people. But my first podcast episode was with him.
Right.
And when I started doing it, I was like, this feels right to me. This feels like there is something to be explored. There's a whole group of us in the community, in the entertainment industry, who don't have a voice like this yet. Right. And so I think just like baby stepping it and kind of finding my voice, and also finding what this podcast is, really, I don't know, it wasn't like a set plan thing. I just kind of was like, leap and figure it out later.
So what would you say to that person who's dealing with some things that you are going through now? What would you tell them to encourage them, if there would be anything you can share?
I would say embrace all sides if you can. Because you have a lot to learn, you have a lot to offer. And I think that's something that I struggled with too. I was like, if I don't fit into this one thing, I don't have a real voice. And I now in my 20s, I'm like, no, I do. And it's even more informed, it's even more educated, and it's even more compassionate, because I have all of these things behind me. Experiences and cultures. And it's like, and it's something close to me. It's something that I know. I'm not talking about it ignorantly.
Right.
And I'm able to understand other people's perspectives too, which I really do pride myself in. Not perfectly, because I'm still human.
Right.
But and for anybody who's struggling, who feels like they're outside, even if it's not due to race, like explore that side, because it's going to inform you so much, and like, feed your light, and make yourself unique. So whatever you're called to, like if it's skateboarding in Alaska, skateboard in Alaska, do it until. Do whatever feeds yourself, and embrace it, I guess.
That's good.
I don't know.
Well, I got one last question. This is the question that it's one of my favorite questions I love to ask people. It is, what is the best advice you've ever received?
Oh my God! Oh, that's so hard. Oh my gosh. What was the best advice I've ever received? Oh no. I don't know if I should go the parental route or if I should go like the acting mentor route or myself.
Yeah. Something that just resonated with you. You just held on to it so much through your life.
Oh boy. I think a theme that's come back up in my life that my mom has always taught me is to come back home to yourself.
Explain that.
Meaning everything you ever need, everything that you're ever searching for, everything that, you know, that skill that you're trying to accomplish or like have part of your arsenal is already inside. And
I love that.
Yeah.
Everything you're searching for is already inside of you.
Yeah.
Wow.
My mom's always taught me to do that, and I think right now, 23 and going into my mid-20s, late 20s is something that's very much relevant in my life right now and has been for a very, very long time, and I think encompasses everything with my mixedness, with my creativity, with my academics, with my love life, with my family life, is just come back home to you.
Coming back home to you. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
Of course.
And I know people who are watching this are going to be inspired. I appreciate you. For real, it's a blessing. We out of here. We done.
Bye.